The Locked On Podcast Network presents the College Sports Big 3 in 30. The three biggest stories in college sports. From our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. Bringing you the real story. Why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The College Sports Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest story in college sports.
John Mateer came through in the clutch. The Oklahoma Sooners defense dominated.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners.
The Oklahoma Sooners had a great day on the defensive side of the ball. Some of the raw numbers might indicate otherwise. Some of the big plays allowed might indicate otherwise. But Oklahoma's defensive front seven absolutely wrecked Auburn's offensive line, their run game, their pass game. It was a great performance. There will be other things that try to take over the narrative of this football game. But really what it came down to is in the second half, and really throughout this whole game, but in the second half in particular, when Oklahoma's defense needed to step up, they did. And they continued to make life incredibly difficult for Auburn. Auburn was able to get some big plays through the first half. Cam Coleman was absolutely awesome. He made some plays in the second half. The defensive pass interferences were a wonderful play call for Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers. But ultimately, it came down to Oklahoma got this game in a script that they want to play in. Get a lead, have a lead late in the fourth quarter at any point in time, and let your pass rush go to work. I mean, the pass rush was great throughout. Obviously, 9 official sacks. One was taken off the board after the officiating crew, I guess, mistakenly attributed a sack to Marvin Jones Jr. on the horse collar, whatever. 9 sacks on the day, and several tackles at the line of scrimmage that would have been sacks had he not made it back to the line of scrimmage. Oklahoma's defensive front, from Marvin Jones Jr. to Taylor Wine to R. Mason Thomas to PJ Adebaware, Danny Okoye, David Stone, Jaden Jackson, Dominic Williams, Grayson Halton. That group was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Lived up to the billing of best defensive line in the SEC, best defensive line in the nation. That's what we were looking to see. A complete performance from that group up front. They got hit for like one big run play after a missed tackle for a 44-yard gain. They got hit for another couple runs that were big or beyond 10 yards, but that was about it. Ultimately, they only allowed 1.9 yards per carry when you include all the sack yardage. You take that 44-yard run off the board, and they allowed less than 3 yards per carry again. Good defenses sometimes get hit for a big play. That's the way it goes. But again, I come back to this. In the fourth quarter, when your defense needed to get stops, when your defense needed to make plays, they made the plays. They gave up that one touchdown on a long drive by the Auburn Tigers, but again, aided by some penalty yardage, aided by a really nice Jackson Arnold scramble for first down on, it was like 4th and 11, I think. Kind of brought back shades of the Adrian Martinez 3rd and 16 run. Sometimes you lose contain against athletic quarterbacks. That's just the way it goes. But throughout the game, generally speaking, Oklahoma's defensive front did a great job maintaining contain, keeping Arnold in the pocket, making him uncomfortable, either when they blitzed, when they rushed just 4. Because when they rushed just 4, they were just absolutely kicking Auburn's tail up front with their stunt combinations, even with just individual pass rushes. Like at the end of the game, when Auburn's trying to rally to go tie the game, they're just rushing 4 on those last 2 sacks. And Grayson Halton absolutely blows up Jackson Arnold. And then R. Mason Thomas absolutely blows up Jackson Arnold for the safety. And Oklahoma probably could have won just rushing 4 throughout. But Brent Venables, he's an aggressive defensive coach, aggressively minded, and he's going to come after those quarterbacks. And generally it made Jackson Arnold uncomfortable. And were it not for some really great catches by Cam Coleman and really great positioning by him, pass interferences against Cortland Guillory, then you're likely talking about maybe a more impressive Oklahoma defensive effort. Cam Coleman is just one of the best wide receivers in the country, maybe the best wide receiver in the country. The guy went Randy Moss. I said it in a group chat that the only way Auburn wins this game is if Cam Coleman goes Randy Moss against the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day forever ago. And he kind of did. He kind of went Randy Moss on Oklahoma. Now, he didn't end up with the 3 touchdowns and the 140 something receiving yards, but he had a great day. And there will be discussions, I'm sure, that Cortland Guillory's not ready, blah, blah, blah. But that's a true freshman going up against one of the best wide receivers in college football and was right with him. Yeah, he got a little grabby and got called for it, but he's going to get better. He's going to learn from all that. Those are the big challenges you want him to face. The coaching staff certainly felt comfortable leaving him on an island against that guy. So they have high expectations and high thoughts of Cortland Guillory. He's going to continue to get better. Front to back, the defense, I thought, really played a great game as a whole. Billy Bowman, I thought, had a wonderful game. Several opportunities for big plays. Had almost an interception, but, got a little over exuberant and just overran the ball. But, yeah, I mean, so many dudes with great performances. Jaden Jackson had 2.5 sacks in this game. All of last year, he had 2 sacks. So that dude's stock continues to go up, continues to trend in a really positive direction with 2.5 sacks, 2.5 tackles for loss. David Stone, my goodness, dude, where you came out of nowhere. This is the breakout game for David Stone. Ended up with a big day himself. 5 total tackles and a sack. 4 of those were solo tackles. Dude, David Stone breakout game was ready, man. He was ready for this one. And I mean, absolutely blowing up Auburn's offensive line throughout. Dominic Williams had a really good game. I thought the guys on the edge played well for the most part. Adepoju Adebawore just on the jet sweep touchdown by Malcolm Simmons. If PJ just kind of breaks down and continues to stretch that play wide, that's not a touchdown. He's not going to get beat to the wide side, but he kind of loses his feet, dives at the guy, and doesn't have great technique, and they're able to score. But if he just kind of stands up and keeps running with him wide and continues to stretch that play out to the sideline, it's probably going to run out of bounds or maybe even be a tackle for loss eventually. But or if he maintains contain and forces it back inside, they might get a tackle for loss there too, because there was another Oklahoma defender there. But again, this guy had to play a lot more because R. Mason Thomas was out. But overall, I thought he played well. And I thought the defensive line, again, as a whole, Todd Bates group, Miguel Chavis group, they played sound football in this one. And that's what helped Oklahoma get this win. The linebacker core with Kip and Kobe McKenzie and Samuel Masigo and Owen Heineke, I thought played well again. Those guys are just really, really good. That's a really good foursome. Kendall Daniels played really well. Kip Lewis ended up leading the team in total tackles with 10, 3 solo, half a sack, and a tackle for loss. So, yeah, defensively, man, this team can go win you a lot of football games. And they're going to. They're going to keep Oklahoma in a lot of football games, and they're going to outright win some football games for Oklahoma. The schedule remains tough. We'll break that down, I'm sure, as we continue to go along. Oklahoma's going to have a bye week next week, a chance to regroup, refresh, re-energize, get a little bit healthier, and then get ready for Kent State. But defensively, I mean, it's A+ marks for Oklahoma through 4 games in the season, in my opinion.
Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's a 401k or properties or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. I linked all my accounts to Monarch and immediately spotted a few subscriptions I wasn't even using. Canceling those all can save you money every month. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNFL.
That sucked. Florida Gators lost to the Miami Hurricanes 26-7 in what was one of the weirdest games that we've seen in a long time.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators.
It's tough. It's tough to talk about this game where I think the biggest thing to say is just there's no offense here. Like this is honestly going to be up there with Muschamp level offenses. Larry Cox, you may be glad that you don't have my job. I'll tell you this. I don't care in moments like where Florida loses by 20, which exactly like on the show this week, I said my fear is that the offense is so inept that the defense gives up some scores late and it looks really worse than it is. But look, I mean, I said all summer, I said that I thought this is a college football playoff roster, which I'm going to say this too, because I see Sam Reeves. Sam Reeves said, Brandon Sunshine pumped us all summer. What I said all summer was the Florida Gators have a college football playoff roster, but the coaching needs to catch up to the talent. That's what I said all summer. That's what I said all spring, that this is a really good roster. And if you can watch that game and you can tell me that that's not a really good roster, you're insane. That defense just played ridiculous football the entire time when the offense didn't do anything. You were right about McLean, but Ruben Bain different. I said Ruben Bain's been playing fantastic football, dominant football this season. So, no, right about that too. Yeah, I think that this offense is just completely inept, right? I don't know who lit a fire under their ass that gave us one good drive in the second half. But whatever it was that happened needs to continue happening, right? Like whatever they did on that one drive. And here's the thing. I hate being the guy because, you know, like I sit here on a podcast in a chair on the internet, not putting my body on the line, not putting everything all on the line for football, but watching these guys play, there were multiple times where like you're just playing soft. That's it. Like there's just no other way to put it. You watch that first half, the offensive line, no push. Again, I don't care that, oh, well, the defense is expecting things because you know what? I'm watching guys not get blocked at all. I'm watching guys not get pressed there. Like I'm watching this and I'm saying, you know what? They're not getting pushed. I'm watching the first half, the first drive defensively, 8 yards downfield every time they handed the ball off. I'm watching the defense for a lot of the game. There were times where it's just like push back, and they played their bend don't break. They did their job. Like they played great in coverage because this wasn't a game where Florida generated a ton of pressure, right? They played great in coverage there. It's just, man, there were too many times where guys were playing soft. I mean, defensive backs making business decisions there. Like you're a DB. If you don't want to hit someone, go figure out how to play receiver. Go figure out how to run routes. Like that's the kind of stuff that I think is just insane. You're a DB. Go play DB. Defensive back. Defensive. Hit someone. Like the amount of times that, because here's the thing. The way that Miami's offense was working in their ground game was they run it into the offensive line and the offensive line just the offensive line gets really tight and condensed and they just move down. That's it. They just move downfield, which you gotta take them out. You gotta just take them out. You gotta, when they've got the running back and they're all pushing them, you gotta just take them out. Because if you're getting into this fight where you're trying to push them back, like those dudes are huge. Miami's offensive linemen are strong as hell. I think that a lot of people in this game came away with the takeaway that Miami's offense doesn't look as good as a lot of people thought they were. I think a lot of people came away with that takeaway. And maybe I think that Miami's offensive line, like they're strong as hell. And one of the big things that they get to do consistently is they get to just run the ball because they ball up like that and they just move downhill. That's it. Like Florida's defense played like it was so good. And like I know that there's a lot of people who, when I spoke about this game, I said a couple things about Carson Beck, where I said, I think that for Florida, last time you played Carson Beck, he threw 3 picks. And it's possible that in his head, he's going to have that. And I said that I think that Florida does a really good job disguising coverages, disguising pressures, and can give him fits. And I will say this is the one thing off Victory Lap. I had a bunch of Miami fans telling me that was ridiculous and that he's going to go off on them. He didn't. He didn't go off on them. He had a bad game. He did. So I will say that that's one thing I'll lap around of that. It's exactly what I called, right? So I will say that I think that, the offense, that one drive looked pretty decent, right? It doesn't look sustainable at all. We ran a freaking QB sweep with DJ Lagway on 4th and short. That's not a situation you want to be in, right? But also, this is a team, they just have zero confidence in DJ Lagway right now. And after that touchdown drive, that was the first time he showed fire. That was it, because we haven't seen that, right? We haven't seen the fire from DJ Lagway. We haven't seen it this year. It's just not been there. I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. I'm not going to speculate on what's going through his mind. I'm not going to speculate on how he's acting. I'm not going to speculate on any of that. What I am going to say is that after that touchdown drive, that was the first time we saw DJ Lagway really have fire on the sideline. And that was it. And he, look, 12 for 23, 61 yards, freaking sucks, right? No one's going to dispute that. The reason that your offense is so hamstrung, the offensive line and DJ Lagway, both of them hamstrung it. I'm not talking about coaching or anything. I'm talking about playing wise. That's what it was. The 4th down pass to J. Michael Sturdivant, great throw. Better catch, great throw. The 4th down pass to TJ Abrams that was short on 4th down, not on Lagway. I don't even really think that's on Napier. I'll be honest. I think that's on TJ Abrams. I think that the play call was hitches, and it's like, all right, well, guess what? You got to get to the 1st down marker, and then you can hitch. And he didn't do that. And when you get tackled short after that, that's when things go poorly for you. Like this was a bad football game offensively. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, everybody knows that. It's one of those, and again, 26-7 looks way worse than it really was, right? Like this game was what, 7-13 up until there were 4 minutes left in the game. And sure, that touchdown, probably the dagger. I will also touch on this, the 2-point conversion call for Mario Cristobal. I know I've seen a lot of people on the Twitter timeline call it a stupid call. It wasn't. The touchdown put you up 12. You go for 2 in that situation, and then you're up 14. Because if you're up 12, or the difference between going up 12 or 13 doesn't matter, right? If you kick the PAT, you're up 13, 2 touchdowns and 2 PATs if Florida gets them. That gives them the win. If you go for 2 and you get it, that gives them the tie if they get 2 touchdowns, 2 PATs. If you go for the 2 and don't get it, you're in the same situation as if you had 13. It was the right call to go for 2 there. Absolutely. The last touchdown that Miami scored shouldn't have happened. That short drive shouldn't have happened because it was like a 20-yard drive. This game is closer than the score indicates. No one cares about that. Like, I'm not saying that to be like, oh yeah, moral victory. No, I'm just saying that to put into context of everything. That's what I'm trying to do, right? Like that's all I'm trying to say is that you have a defense good enough to keep you in games with anyone for a very long time. And like the defense did a hell of a job. They really did. Because once again, the offense put the defense in crappy spot after crappy spot.
The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for the weekend with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits how I like to bet. Player props, same-game parlays, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It's quick, it's easy, and the best way to avoid having games where you might not be as locked in. I like to have a little bit more juice, a little bit more energy. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
They said Indiana couldn't beat a quality opponent. They said Kurt Cignetti couldn't beat a ranked team.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Have the doubters been silenced tonight? Did Kurt Cignetti prove that he is the man, that he's one of the best coaches in all of college football, and that Indiana is legitimate? All we heard throughout the offseason was that Indiana's non-conference schedule was weak. All we've heard over the past several weeks is, Old Dominion's not that good. Kennesaw State's a joke. Wow, you played Indiana State last week. Wow, you guys are real prepared for the number 9 ranked team in the country. And Indiana did exactly what they did a year ago in big-time games. They were prepared, they were ready, and most importantly, they executed. And they absolutely demolished Illinois at home in the biggest game in Memorial Stadium history, one of the most hyped-up games all week long, and what was supposed to be really entertaining ended up just being an absolute rout for Indiana over the Fighting Illini. Welcome into this Locked On Hoosiers live show. Come on in, give your thoughts in the YouTube comments. Again, we're live. I've got it pulled up over here. We've got about a minute left on this game, but wanted to go ahead and get in here and get you guys involved. And so drop your thoughts down in the YouTube comments, man. How are you feeling about Indiana's win over Illinois? If you're a Hoosiers fan, let me know. If you happen to be an Illinois fan and you're here, let me know how you guys are taking this. And if you're on the outside looking in, we want to hear from you as well. There's a lot to get to on this show. We're going to cover some of the big plays, some of the big moments. We'll do some stat comparisons, kind of what happens next. And we always do likes and dislikes on these live shows as well. So again, drop your thoughts. We're going to go through a lot of those on the back end of the show as well. But I mean, what a dominating win for Indiana. It's going final as I look at it. 63-10 is officially the final score. Indiana beats Illinois. Number 19 takes down number 9. And it's almost like Las Vegas knows a little something, huh? It's almost like Vegas is kind of good at this whole betting thing. I'll admit, I was worried. I was worried when the betting lines came out and Indiana was a favorite here. And then I was worried that it just kept growing and growing and growing. And by the time that this game kicked off, Indiana was a touchdown favorite, if not more, depending on where you looked. But my goodness, did they know something that not everybody did? I felt very confident that Indiana could win this football game. I felt very confident that Indiana was the more talented team in this football game. And I also felt that Indiana had the better coach in this football game. But I don't care who you are. Nobody predicted 63-10 in a rout that Indiana put on in this football game. Man, some of the stat comparisons here are truly, truly incredible. Indiana outgains Illinois in total yards, 579 to 161. Indiana's rushing total. This thing did not look good in the first quarter, but this might be the most lopsided stat of the night. How about rushing yards? Indiana, 312 yards on the ground in this game. Illinois, 2. You have a hand, right or left? Pick one. That's how many. You need just 2 fingers to hold up how many rushing yards that Illinois had as a team on the ground tonight. Indiana also throws it for 328 yards. Illinois, just 51 through the air. And just so many lopsided things here that you can point out in the stat sheet. Indiana runs 72 plays compared to their 45. How about this? 31 first downs for Indiana compared to just 9 for that Illinois offense. I mean, It was really, really fun to watch. And of course, it all started with a special teams touchdown. How about D'Angelo Ponds getting involved? We know he's one of the best corners in all of college football. He's an All-American and somebody that's going to be playing on Sundays. But to start the game with a blocked punt that he recovers and then scores on a touchdown where he had to break the tackle from the punter to get into the end zone, you knew something special was going to happen. And you knew that that was something that Indiana thrives on because they did that a year ago, right? They used big special moments like that to just build and route really good teams. That's what Indiana did here. You're up 7-0, and then Illinois responds. They respond in a big way with a big touchdown pass from Luke Altmaier. In that first quarter, it was a 59-yard touchdown pass from Luke Altmaier, and a play that was really more on Indiana than it was on Illinois. But they took advantage. It was a miscommunication between Amari Farrell, your safety, and D'Angelo Ponds, your corner. Safety came up, corner stopped running, dude was wide open. All right, that's fine. Wasn't super pumped about it, but Illinois responded, 7-7. And then Indiana said, yeah, we're going to be done with that. We're going to be done with that. We're going to throw it to E.J. Williams for a touchdown. We're going to throw it to Omar Cooper for a touchdown. We're going to throw it to Elijah Surratt twice for a touchdown. Noah Kowski's going to get involved for a touchdown. Heck, even our third-string running back is going to have a couple of touchdowns in this game. And the Hoosiers had enough and absolutely opened up a can on Illinois in this football game. Man, this was one of the more fun games that I have watched and covered for Indiana, maybe ever, across any sport. Because the Hoosiers did this to several teams last year. If you've been around for just a little bit, this is not a new result. This is not a crazy thing that Indiana blows out a team. It's the fact that it was a 9th-ranked team in the country. This was a top 20 matchup in Bloomington, and the Hoosiers proved every single person wrong. Because everybody picked Illinois. Everybody on ESPN, everybody on CBS, everybody here at Locked On. Nobody wanted to pick Indiana in this game. I did. I felt confident. Things had to go right. Fernando Mendoza had to play well. He did. The running game had to do what it needed to do. It did. The defense had to perform at its highest level. And they absolutely did. Now, I do want to address a couple of things for Illinois. I understand that their secondary was extremely banged up. I know that. Know that it was coming in that way. We learned, right, that probably their best DB was unavailable for this game. You were then down 2 DBs for Illinois, and then the targeting call. And I do want to address it quickly. We won't hang on it too long here. I did not agree with the targeting call. I'm just going to be really, really honest here. I didn't think that was worthy of a targeting and worthy of an ejection. Now, I think by definition with the rule, yes, I just kind of disagree with how the rule is written. And for that to be one of Illinois' best players in the secondary, while they were already down some dudes, that was a crucial point in this game. It absolutely was. It was a turning point, and Illinois they were desperate at that point. And give Indiana credit, you knew they were going to throw the ball anyway, but then they really hammered down and they said, all right, we're going to let Fernando Mendoza have some fun. And he absolutely did with some of the best receivers in college football. So I understand that Illinois in the secondary couldn't hang and maybe they weren't up to their best. But ladies and gentlemen, I sent out a tweet or a post on our Locked On Hoosiers X page. Make sure you go and follow that at Locked On Hoosiers. I sent out a post and it says this. Let me go find it really quick just to make sure I get my wording right here. I sent out a post that says, hey, remember last season when Indiana lost big games because it could not compete in the trenches, right? Ohio State, Notre Dame, even Michigan was kind of iffy too last year. Remember when Indiana couldn't win games because they were losing in the trenches? I think that problem's solved now, don't you? I think that problem may not be a problem anymore. Indiana bullied Illinois in this game on both sides of the ball. On the offensive line for the Hoosiers, who gave Fernando Mendoza plenty of time. I know he got sacked a couple of times, but there was never real pressure on him. There was never real threat of him getting hit big time, losing the football, having to rush a play. And the few times that he did, he just scrambled and picks up first downs because that's what Fernando Mendoza does. But it's the flip side of the football. That Indiana defensive line may have had the most fun out of anybody. I mean, holy smokes, man. Indiana in this game. Are you ready for this? This Indiana defense had 10 tackles for loss. Okay. 10 tackles for loss, 7 total sacks as a defense for the Indiana Hoosiers tonight. And then they pick up the late interception with Amari Farrell as well. I don't know which side of the ball to be more impressed with. Is it the offense putting up 63 points and making it just look easy like they were playing a JV school? Or was it the defense who just shut down Luke Altmaier and Beatty, who I know he got banged up, but ended up coming back as far as I know and saw them out there. But there was just no time for Luke Altmaier to be this big and bad quarterback that people said he was. Indiana doubted every single person in the country tonight that didn't believe in them. Curt Cignetti deserves a lot of credit. This coaching staff deserves a lot of credit. And this entire team deserves a lot of credit for blocking out the noise, not listening to it, worrying about what they can control, and beating a really good football team in Illinois. Okay, they're still a really good team, but Indiana just proved they're on a different level. 63-10 final score. Hoosiers take down the Illini in the biggest game in Indiana football home game history, and it really wasn't even close.